wasn't your parents' decision. It wasn't my decision. It wasn't your AAU coach's decision. It wasn't your uncle's decision. It wasn't your aunt's. It wasn't your fifth cousin's decision. It wasn't whatever.
Right.
It was your decision. You made it. You're happy with it. I'm happy with it. Welcome back to the #Run302 podcast. This is season 1, episode 7, college. I'm back with the head of school, Mr. Donald Porter. I'm Coach AJ, athletic director and head basketball coach for the Cross Christian Academy Centurions. So this episode, like we ended last week, if you saw the ending last week, we talked about how, so many of these adults, whether it's an AAU coach, an uncle, a dad, a mom, whatever the case may be, is keep telling our youth that they're too good for this level, you're too good for that level, you're too good for that school, you're too good for that school. And I think it's very important to, examine everything. And because a lot of these adults just don't understand that there's so much talent at every level. I mean, just a great example would be the NCAA tournament. You have FDU, the coach came from a Division II school, brought 3 or 4 of his guys with them, and then they make a huge run in the NCAA tournament. From D2 to D1, they make a run in the NCAA tournament amongst the top 32 Division I teams in the country.
Brought his young guys with him, and they pushed forward. And here at the school, we've seen the difference of talent, not by the youth, but of the schools themselves where we started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we went from, the Christian League, which we that's where we needed to be at the time,
mm-hmm.
and then we progressed.
Yep.
And now we've progressed again, and that's the thing that they also need to understand about their child too, or their student athlete, that they need to progress.
Yep.
And that's how they progress, is by seeing different talent and different levels at different schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get right into it. We're going to talk about the different, athletic associations and different levels, NCAA, NAIA, JUCO, all those kind of things. But, obviously we can start right off the get-go with the, with the one that everybody wants to play. I mean, everybody wants to, everybody is, who plays basketball is in it, or any sport. Anyone who does that, their dream is to go to the next level at the NCAA,
right?
Which is obviously, the big one.
Big time.
Yeah, big time.
Big time. I mean, it's where if that's where you're dreaming to be, then you gotta go get it. And then, like you were saying earlier, the better talent you play against, the better hopefully you get.
Yeah.
No matter what sport you play. I mean, it can be any sport, but you want to be able to progress your ability to the next level, especially if you want to go to that, D1 level. D1 level, and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, the big thing's always going to be, with NCAA, it's Division I or Division II. That's always the goal. But so many people miss out on just phenomenal memories, moments, opportunities.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear that word a lot in this podcast. This episode is opportunity. Division III. I say it all the time. I tell people all the time, the best college player I've ever seen in person, not on TV or whatever, but in person in a game, was right here at Wesley before they closed down. Brian Cameron, 2,000-point scorer, averaged 25 points a game as a senior, led them to an NCAA tournament for Division III.
Right.
Now he's overseas. He played for the Delaware Bluecoats for a season.
Yeah.
Now he's overseas
cool.
playing. He just had 48 points last week at a Division III school. And like I said, he's the best college player I've ever seen in person. And, one thing Wesley did every year was they would have an exhibition game with a Division I school. Sometimes it was Del State, sometimes it was They had an exhibition with Princeton 4 years ago before
awesome.
they did one with Towson. And Brian Cameron never scored less than 20 points in any of those D1 exhibitions.
Right.
Like, most of the time, he looked like the best player on the floor against Division I schools.
Well, I think like you were saying, the opportunity is what we push.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we try to do with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the opportunity to be who they want to be, not even on the athlete side, but the student athlete side, or the student.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And the opportunity is here. Let's grab it. Let's go forward. But you got to have the will to go to that next level or go to that next step. And like we got into last week, work, play, whatever you want to do, or however you want to say it, it is more time in the gym. It is more time in the books.
Yep.
However you want to progress with that. But education is that's what we want.
Yeah.
I mean, we want you to get the education, and we would much rather you have the education playing a sport that you love to play.
Yep.
For 4 years.
Yeah. It's a tool.
Exactly, and that's kind of the way we want to push you into that is say, hey, look, we got it. You know, we know where you want to go, we know what you want to do, but you know, of course, us in the back of our mind going, it's going to get you educated.
Yeah.
No one can take that out of that brain. Once we get you there and get you to the point where you're achieving and moving forward, now it's yours to keep.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would just say. I would say to you, I think I've mentioned this on last week's show about, you know, I follow a ton of coaches on Twitter and stuff like that. And my coach tweeted out, he was a Division III coach, and he was like, look, he's like, you know, if you know your goal is to play professional, whatever, God will help you out on that and all that stuff. And he's like, and if it's meant to be, God will get you there. But at the end of the day, he's like, I'm pretty sure God would like to see you with that diploma and degree too.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and that's what it is. You know, at the end of the day, use basketball as a tool to get the most off of college as you can, and then go about your life. If that ends up being overseas somewhere, awesome. You know, I mean, one thing people probably don't even realize is there's more Division III NCAA players playing overseas professionally than any other level of college basketball. And that's something people, you know, wouldn't know.
Right.
They don't know. But again, D3 is just D3. It's, you know,
and they
you're
also
too good.
forget. They also forget how many. And correct me if I'm wrong. Thousands of kids, young men, young women that want these scholarships to go to school. So when you do get one, that's amazing. That's an awesome thing. I mean,
3% of this year's graduating class for basketballs in the country, for basketball players in the country of 2023, 3% will play NCAA basketball.
And that's
D3,
that's
NCAA.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
that's
you're
amazing.
too good for D3. But 3%
there
is
you
who's
go.
playing.
And to me, when you get that offer, you get that commitment, man, that's huge. That's such a plus in your corner. You know, it just, I don't think people realize, or at least like in my level, say, hey, that there's a lot of people wanting that spot.
Yeah.
You know, and they chose you.
Yeah. And
I mean, what a key thing to say. They chose
yeah,
you.
They chose you.
You know, they chose you.
Like,
I
you
mean,
may
it
not
gives
be
me
able
chills
to see,
saying it.
Yeah, you might not be able to see the competition, but there's people fighting for those spots. And, you know,
aren't they called college applications?
Yeah.
Or I mean, so what's that mean? Everybody, they're putting them in.
Yep, they're putting them in.
And they took yours. They talked to coaches. They talked to administration. They talked to everything. But AJ, they chose you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I keep saying to everybody.
And
you know, it's amazing to me how that works.
And obviously, everyone's so focused on D1, D2 because they can do athletic scholarships.
Right.
And while that's true that D3 NCAA can't do athletic scholarships, it all goes hand in hand. There's a reason why we harp so much on that GPA. You hear us talk about the GPA so much, because if you're a senior and you have a 3.5 and above, and you're going to a D3 school, well, guess what? They're probably going to give you a ton of academic aid. If they really want you at their school for sports, they're going to throw some academic money at you. And then, of course, if, you know, depending on your financial situation at home, what your parents make and those kind of things, they're going to throw some financial aid at you that you don't have to pay back, you know, with the Pell Grant, the government.
Right.
So, you know, the misconception is that, you know, well, if I go to a D3, I'm going to end up paying $15,000, $20,000 a year. That's not always true. I mean, every situation is different. If you did,
and they still get a diploma at D3, right?
Yeah,
So,
at the
you know
end
what I'm
of the day,
saying?
degree. They get
degree, diploma on our end.
Yeah,
But they do get a degree, and to me, like I just said earlier, when that brain gets filled with knowledge and stuff, no one can take that away. You tear something up on your body, or you tear your knee, you tear your ankle, that brain is not going away. That degree is yours.
Yeah.
And you were chosen to go to that school, God willing, like we talk about, and now you take it to that level to where you need to look in the mirror and go, wow, I did it, man. Now I'm going to keep striving to go to the next level.
And the other misconception is that I get a lot, and even with our guys on our team, I had to explain to them this, you know, especially recently with some of them, you know, with their, you know, some of the offers they've gotten and stuff like that. I'm like, you know, they're like, oh, you know, this and that. I'm like, I was like, that's not. I was like, here's the thing. I was like, you don't have to pay. You know, if they're saying you have to pay, that you don't have to pay that out of pocket. You don't. You take out a loan. You know, it's something that any teenager can get approved for.
Know about them?
Yeah, and you take out a student loan, and then you don't have to pay that back until 6 months after you graduate college. 6 months after you graduate college, you don't have to pay that back. And if you went to a good enough school, like there were some schools, you know, this probably hurt us. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but you know, I had 3 or 4 guys reach out that were thinking about doing a 5th year with us.
Right.
And I was like, well, what do you got as far as interest so far? And he was like, I've gotten some financial, packages put together from some D3s, and he named me the D3s, the one D3 was a very, very high academic D3 that their degree means a lot.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not gonna say the exact number. I was like, what do you have to pay out of curiosity? And it was under 10.
Right.
And I'm like, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm like, I think I would take out that student loan, go there, play it for 4 years. Whatever happens on that end of it. But then you graduate, and then you don't have to pay anything until 6 months after you graduate.
Yeah.
And with that degree, with that school named on it, you're going to have a job making $60,000, $70,000 a year before you even have to start paying those student loans back.
Right.
And your student loans are, depending on what you owe, is like 150, 200.
Yeah,
300.
well, it gets back to the same thing we've said on all the podcasts. We want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
We want to tell the student the right thing,
Yeah.
no matter what the student wants to
And like
do
I said,
in
I could have
life.
very easily just been like,
Come
oh,
on.
yeah, just come here. We'll get you a D2 offer. No
Yeah,
worries. We'll
yeah,
get you a
yeah.
full ride. No worries.
Yeah.
But again, I was looking at them, and I'm like, because I know the school. I've known kids that go there. And I'm like, that's a really high academic D3, and it sets you up for a good life. You're going to get a good job out of there.
And that's the whole end game.
Mm-hmm. Have a good life.
Exactly.
Have a good life.
That's
Because
the end game.
this is just a fraction. This is this 18. Your first your 4 years of high school is just a fraction.
Right.
And then your 4 years of college is just a fraction. At the end of the day, you got to go live the rest of your life.
And that's what we hope you're doing. You're setting it up.
Yep.
We're trying to help you line it up, set it up.
And no matter how good you think you are, at some point, your talent runs out. At every level, your talent runs out a little bit more and more. And at some point, we all hit that wall. Some of us hit that wall in middle school. Some of us hit that wall in high school. Some of us hit that wall in college. Some of us, are lucky enough to go to the NBA or whatever. But we all hit that wall where our talent is no longer there anymore.
Well, yeah. And then if you don't keep striving, you just don't hit it. But you want to keep striving to get better.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. But so that's pretty much our gist on the NCAA. And of course, most people know about the NCAA anyway, so we didn't dive too deep into those things and whatnot. But we'll go ahead and take a break, give you a sponsor, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the #Run302 podcast, Season 1, Episode 7, College. We just talked about the NCAA. Next thing we're going to address is, and I think this is probably the level that probably gets the most hate, is JUCO. NJCAA is their association. Like I said, I think that's probably the one that most kids have the most misconception about is junior college.
Well, and why would you say that? I mean, because who's talking to them?
Yeah.
I mean, once again, we started off the whole conversation is, are you going to be level? Are you not going to be? Are you going to get better? Are you not going to get better? Those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
It all goes hand in hand on the communication factor, talking to these young men and young women, and letting them know. I don't want to be out of the way, but facts. It's just, I mean, like you said, you can talk on it better than I can. Because you were.
I went, and it's same situation. Let's start with this. There's several reasons why to go, JUCO. One of them is your grades. Obviously NCAA has a certain GPA you have to have. So if you have to go junior college for a year or two to get your grades where it needs to be, so you can qualify for an NCAA school, that's one. If you got hurt your senior year maybe, and you need an extra year to rehab or get back to 100%. Whatever, go there. If you have a couple NCAA schools, we had a kid here this year that's here now that I was emailing schools for, and we got a call from the coach, and the coach was like, I like him. He's like, I don't know if he's quite big enough or quite athletic enough to play for us. He's like, is he thinking about going JUCO?
Right.
I was like, he's got some D1 JUCO offers and things like that. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, let me know if he decides to go JUCO. Right. He's like, because I want to keep track of him. And maybe in 2 years, we'll revisit, see what his body looks like and see if he's got any more athleticism, got added any more athleticism and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, that sounds fair. But the point is that, sometimes, you have an NCAA school you're talking to or, another school you're talking to, and you're just, for them, your body's not quite ready yet for their level that they play. Yep. Or their schedule that they play.
We understand that.
Yeah, and you go to junior college. Heck, I remember Milford when I was here the first time, 2016, 2018. They had that football player Breon Murray that was there. He's a good player, and he had a bunch of D1 interest. But they were all telling him the same thing: you got to get bigger if you're going to play corner at the D1 level. Right. And he went JUCO 2 years out in the West, and he ended up at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
He's at Virginia Tech now. He might get drafted.
Great story.
Yeah. So I mean, there's many reasons to go there. Like I said, so we got the academic, we got your body. Maybe you just need to mature as a player and a person on and off the court. Maybe you got in trouble. You got kicked off your high school team. Who knows? Whatever. You got in trouble off the court, and only a junior college would take a chance on you.
Right. Well, I think we see what we're trying to play at, or what we're achieving or striving to play at, is the size.
Yeah.
You know, like we were saying, some of the things you're seeing on the tournament now, you'll hear some of the experts say they're grown men. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they are.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it in the past ourselves when we go places like, wow, that's a guy. That's a, he doesn't look, he's not 19,
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think they talk about that at all.
That one parent, I think you got that comment from one parent this year with one of the games we played. You're like, that is a team of grown men.
Yeah,
because they were all post
no.
grads. They were
Right,
all post
right.
grads because we played post grad school. And the one parent was like, that was a team of grown men.
Right, where are they from?
Yeah.
what college are they from? They're not,
Yeah.
but still, they're trying to get to that next level.
Yep.
And we put our guys out there against them because we want our guys to get to that next level. And we say it all the time: experience. What you're going to see, and it's amazing how young men and young women, when they're talking about that JUCO level, they don't understand. Again, it's education.
Yeah, yep. That's first and foremost, especially if we talk about, because it's the same situation where you have a D1, you have D2 JUCOs that can offer scholarships, and then you have D3 who can't, but they can offer the financial aid,
Right.
Academic scholarships maybe if you're good academically. Right. It's just you're going to JUCO for another reason. But at the end of the day, like me, for example, I'll use me as an example because I played JUCO 2 years, junior college. My first 2 years, I didn't pay for college. My first 2 years were free. And, after that, I didn't play anymore, and I had to pay for my last 2 years of college. And I got my student loans. But had I not had those 2 years of JUCO as an option for free, I'd have double. I'd be in double in debt than I am now.
No, pay them for 30 years.
Exactly.
Some of that stuff, man, But, we get back to the discussion that you're able to have with the kids that we have here, the young men that we have here, that you can get into all those talks.
Yeah.
And say, hey, look, don't forget, this is about, number one, being educated.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, living your life.
Yeah.
We've got to move that. And that, like you were saying, the tool is what you're playing or what you're doing, whether it be basketball, whether it be football, whether it be lacrosse or whatever it may be, volleyball.
Yep.
All of those things are out there. And I'm going to use the same word I used earlier. They chose you.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they chose you.
Yeah, they reached out. A lot of times they've reached out to you.
And you keep your goal alive. You keep your dream alive for 2 more years at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is about. And then,
What'd you say?
Years,
Opportunity.
You keep your opportunity alive for 2 more years.
Let's go.
And then in 2 years, you address it.
Yep.
But, I'll use, because obviously I know this, but I'll use this as an example. That great show that's exploding all over Netflix, Last Chance U. I'm sure everybody that's watching this has watched it. And even the coach for basketball says it right there on this latest season that just came out, because he was talking about the COVID year. Like he was stressed out about getting his player scholarships. But he was like, with the COVID year, the transfer portal, all that stuff, he said, these colleges, these NCAA schools, they look at transfer portal first, then JUCO is right afterwards. Because you look at it, right? You have transfer portal and JUCO. So you have somebody that didn't work out at another Division I school, but maybe he averaged 7-8 points a game at a high-level NCAA. Well, yeah, he's already played college. He's already had that speed. He's already got that playing at that level. Or versus, JUCO. He's already played a year or two of college basketball. He's already at that speed. He's 2 years older. He's a grown man, as we say, grown man already. So they look at transfer portal, JUCO, prep school, regular high school. That's the way it is. That's what these coaches nowadays. That's how the NCAA looks. They look at, like I said, order.
It's totally changed.
Yeah.
I mean, from
because it used to be high school. It used to always be high school.
Right. In all the sports. And now a lot of times even the other sports, they go to the travel ball field. When baseball, they go to the travel ball game, basketball, because that's number one. That's where they think they're going to see the talent that's, I don't want to be out of line, but serious.
Yep.
I mean, I think everybody's serious, but other people are serious with a capital S, serious. So it has totally changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I guess the one probably the most difficult hurdle to overcome with junior college would be housing. that's always the big bugaboo with junior college, because it's there's a reason why they call it community college. Community college, in a sense, was designed just for people in the area really to go. It turned into something else, but that's really when community colleges were invented, that's really what it was. You don't have to move out of the state. You don't have to move your home. If you're 30, 40 years old, you have a life. You can just go right there, finish your degree, whatever. Right. And it's evolved into other things. But that doesn't mean that they've all taken that step of getting housing on campus or anything like that. So that's always a bugaboo. But
it's always something we talk about.
Yeah.
Even at any of the levels we deal with, we talk about
is the housing. Yeah. But what most junior colleges do is they have a team house.
Yep.
And they put 6-7 guys in each house, and they all split it like $200 a month, which is, to be honest with you, $200 a month to go to college.
It's a deal.
Ain't nothing.
It's a deal.
And a lot of times they'll hook you up with a house. I mean, a job on campus. Yeah, a lot of times they'll be like, well, work at the bookstore, and we'll call it even or whatever. There's ways around it, always. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like I said, at the end of the day, you're keeping your opportunity, you're keeping your dream and goals alive for 2 more years at the end of the day.
Right, and we just want your life to be amazing. And how do you do that? You just keep striving, keep trying to get to where you want to get to. And I've told you, and you've talked to me, that's the job that we want to do. Let's get you where you want to go. And if it doesn't work, then we can't blame ourselves. We're going to look in the mirror and go, we've done everything we can. Made the phone calls. You're on the phone every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every day.
No, my wife will tell you I never put my phone down.
Email, phones, exactly, every day. And that's what we want.
All hours of the day.
Yeah. But that's kind of what we want. We want those calls to come in so we can relay that to you. We can say, hey, look, where we're at, this is what we're doing. And it gives you a chance to make contacts, and it just broadens everything. It makes that circle just bigger. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing we'll say before we go to break about junior college is, again, if you're like, well, we want to play for a national tournament. Well, again, guess what? Junior college has a national tournament. You win your region, and then you're going to nationals. Right. That's how it goes. You win your region. Most of the colleges around here are Region 19, Region 20. Region 19 this way, you go that way. It's more Region 20 is how they're split up. But you win your region, you go to a good JUCO that's winning their regions or contending for their region. You win that, then you're going to the national tournament for the JUCO. And you go to the national tournament, you're going to get recruited. End of the day, because you're going to be playing in front of a lot of college coaches.
A lot of people watching you.
Yep, exactly. And I guess one more thing I'll say is that you go to California. With how big of a state that is, there's so many junior colleges in California. They have their own. So like we said, we just said it was the NJCAA. They have their own association for community colleges, the CCCAA out there in California, because there's so many.
So big,
and actually 2 of our guys just got offers out there to California, so they might be playing out there in that.
That just sounds crazy to me.
It is.
It's awesome. I mean, it just sounds.
So I was like, think about that, Delaware to California. I was actually, I'm a little jealous. You're going to see Cali. You're going to see Cali before I do.
You better get room. You better get a house. You better get you're not going to commute.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, I was a little jealous when I heard it. I was like, you're going to get to see California before I do.
Yeah,
but anyway, we'll go ahead and take our final break, and we'll come back with the last part. Welcome back to the hashtag Run 302 podcast, Season 1, Episode 7, College. We just talked about the NCAA and the JUCO. Those are probably the 2 biggest ones that get thrown around a lot, but there's a lot of other college associations out there. We're going to, just go over a little bit, and the next one I have on the list is the NAIA.
Okay.
And this one gets probably actually even more hate than JUCO. Because even my players, I've had some of our players that are interested in going JUCO have been like, well, I wouldn't consider NAIA. And I was just like, why not? Why wouldn't you? There's still a national championship. They can offer you, scholarship money. Actually, there's more scholarship money for NAIAs than there is any other level other than like top NCAA schools, obviously. Right. But, I was like, it's the same experience. I'm like, why wouldn't you at the end of the day?
They just keep putting that education behind all that.
Yeah.
I try to throw it in front of all that, but I'm like you say, we're not always right.
Yeah. and usually, for the most part, NAIA schools are small,
right.
Small private universities. That's what, 80% of them are private universities.
Where our guys have been all year.
Yeah. Which they've been
there.
Yeah. Yep. So then after you got NAIA, and again you have that broken into D1, D2, all those things. You have USCAA, which is same thing, it's just private universities, and that's made up of, USCA. Sometimes those can be JUCO schools, sometimes they can be 4-year schools. Like they have they kind of have a mix of different schools that are affiliated with that, and then the last association, which we might actually have 2 kids that end up playing for this, is the NCCAA, which is basically just Christian college, association, Christian schools, with all Christian schools involved. And, we might have 2 kids that end up playing at that level this year. But, again, again, they can offer you a lot of money. And, with us being a Christian school, and them going to a school like that, a lot of times, a lot of these Christian schools, they give you 10, 15,000 sometimes in scholarship money just from coming from a Christian school, from your high school.
Right, and like we said, there's an education there too.
Yep.
And that's the key. And every one of those things that you've mentioned, every one of those groups you've mentioned, all have unique abilities to do different things for you.
Yeah.
I mean, and some of them can do them all, and some of them just have to do it in a different way.
Yep.
But it's all back to the all of them educate.
Yeah.
So you walk out of there with a degree, God willing.
They all educate. They all educate.
And they play.
They all keep your opportunity alive for whatever
right.
you're chasing.
Right.
And they all offer moments and memories that you will never forget.
Nope.
We talked about, our guy, the guy at Wesley,
Right.
where he every year he wanted to have 1 or 2 exhibition games against D1 schools to give his guys that experience.
Right.
Then, they trained out and they practiced out in the Portland Trailblazer facility 1 year. This year at his new college, they practiced at Duke's facility, toured the facility, toured the locker room. I mean, you're telling me that's not an experience that kids are going to talk about the rest of their lives, that they were on the Duke court practicing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you say, not just the experience, but also just the lifetime memories that you're creating. As long as you're striving to be better.
Yep.
I mean, we sometimes, it doesn't always work, and that's we don't like that.
Yep.
I don't even like to say that.
Yep.
But as long as you're willing to take that extra jump, then we're willing to say, okay, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay. Let's go. And you've got to be willing to take that extra jump though.
Yep.
Once you pull yourself back, then the striving kind of it just all takes a hit, and I don't like that. I'm sorry.
And and I've had this conversation with every.
We both side on that. That was crazy. We both like, shh.
Yep. But I've had this conversation with our team as a group, and I've had this conversation with them each as individuals. And I told them, and I'm like, obviously you got to be able to afford it. Obviously, that's one big thing. I was like, but the second biggest thing that I would look at, the first is money, what it's going to cost you, obviously, because you don't want to cripple yourself for the future either.
Long term.
But 2 would be, is how is the coach with you? Is the coach, what's your vibe around the coach? Because you're going to have to play for him for the next 2 to 4 years, regardless. I was like, so what's your vibe? Does he seem genuine? And we can all feel it. Most of us have that gist when they get around people of he's kind of fake, or he really believes what he's saying, or whatever the case may be is. And, I was like, how's the coach with you? How bad does he want you? Is he texting you every other day? Is he texting you every day? Like, how much does he want you? Because in my opinion, like I said, after the financials, the second most important thing when you're choosing is how bad does that coach want you there? Because if he really wants you there, like really, he's calling you every day, texting you every day, whatever the case is, you got a spot, and you probably know you have a very significant role. You're not going to go there and just get lost in the sauce, so to speak.
Well, we had a young man this year that was his key.
Yeah, he chose it based on
he felt good,
around the coaching staff,
and that's a mature thing too. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, I don't know. I'm not. No, I mean, they're very upfront.
I'm very proud of him, to be honest with you, because when he told me that's his biggest thing, and the big thing was he was like, if this such and such offers, I'm going to take it, and I'm like, well, why? Just out of curiosity, and he told me that, and I was like, okay. I was like, I'm very impressed with that answer.
Absolutely.
Very impressed, beyond his years almost.
Right.
And I'm like, well, good for you. I'm like, as long as you know what you want. At the end of the day, you're the one. All the outside noise, even me.
Yeah, it's your life.
Even me.
You got to live
like,
it.
I mean, I tell them all. I'm not pushing any of them anywhere. I'm like, If you're happy, I'm happy.
Yeah,
That's what I
and
say.
all you're pushing is education.
Yep.
Let's go
I'm
get
like, if you're
educated.
happy,
Yeah,
I'm
and
happy.
let's
That's
go
what I've
play.
told
Yeah,
every single one.
yeah.
I'm like, if you're happy with your decision, I'm happy with your decision.
Yeah.
But that's a very, very, mature answer. And I was, at the end of the day, though, it has to be you because you're the one that's going to do it for the next 2 to 4 years. And then you're going to have to live with your decision for the rest of your life.
Right. Well,
It's going to set you
when
up.
you told me that, and cause we talk every day.
Yeah.
It just went to my mind. Yeah. That's the. I don't take this wrong. This is the adult thing, man. Wow, that was a very very cool opinion and everything. And then to be able to just speak it, because some young people can't.
Yeah.
But he could speak what he was looking at and what he
Yeah.
was talking about.
Yep.
And to me that's just another level.
Yeah. And, and I think that, and me and him talk every day about
Right,
it. And,
right.
and do the whole process. That's what he was saying. He stayed with it and was like, if this is what I get, this is where I'm going.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and it all worked out.
Yep. And
God willing,
I couldn't
it all
be
worked out.
happier. He got what he
either.
wanted.
Me either.
But so like I said, the money, and then like I said, the coaching staff, how much they care about. Are they going to care about you? Are they going to watch it? Because there's going to be. Listen, I don't care where you go. I don't care if you go D1, Kentucky, Duke, wherever, with all the money, all the funds in the world. There's going to be some rough patches in college. There's going to be some times, either whether it's somebody's beating you out, you're not playing as much as you think you should be, or you have trouble at home and you're 1,000 miles away, or there's going to be some trouble. And then at that time, you got to know that you have guys where you're at, the coaching staff and the players there. That's got your back.
Yeah.
That's going to get you through those tough times.
Absolutely. And we've had those things when they reach out to us, or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know it's life, and that's
Yep.
life. I mean, it's going to happen. Those ups and downs are going to happen no matter where you're at.
Yep.
No matter where you're at, it's going to happen.
Yep.
It's just how you react and how you go forward that adversity and say, hey, look,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. I was chosen. I'm here.
Yep.
So, and I'm going to make it work.
Yep. I say because a lot of the so far everybody that's made their decisions or gotten their offers or telling us where they might be going or something, I feel pretty good about all of them for the most part.
Well, and I think like you said, we take this little moment here talking and we stall a bit because we get emotional. We start thinking,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to be okay? Or, we want to make sure everything's right. We want to try to do the right things.
Yep.
And it does. It's important to us,
Mm-hmm.
That they do the right thing for them, but that they were guided the right way. They had
Yep.
the opportunity to make the choices. And then, like I said earlier, now you were chosen. Now, let's go. Let's figure
Yeah, I
it out.
said, and to me, like all of them, like I said, I don't care where they go.
Right.
But my biggest thing to all of them I don't care as long as it was your decision.
Yeah.
As long as it was your decision. It wasn't your parents, and not to be disrespectful.
No, you
but
gotta
it
live it.
wasn't.
You're gonna be there. They're not gonna
You're
be
the
there.
one living.
Yeah,
You're the one
yeah,
living it.
yeah,
So
they're
it
not gonna be
wasn't your parents' decision.
They might
it
have
wasn't.
to help you a little bit. But
Yeah.
they ain't gonna be there.
It wasn't your parents' decision. It wasn't my decision. It wasn't your AAU coach's decision. It wasn't your uncle's decision. It wasn't your aunt's. It wasn't your fifth cousin's decision. It wasn't whatever.
Right.
It was your decision. You made it. You're happy with it. I'm happy with
And
it.
it's pretty cool. You had a decision.
End of story. Exactly. At the end of the day, you had a decision to make.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Life is all about options.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you, as long as you got options, you got
and
opportunities.
some people don't.
Yeah,
Some people
don't.
and now that decision's been made, and I'm just glad you had it.
Yep. So we're gonna wrap this episode up here, and I'll let him go ahead and close out. And you got anything you want to say?
No, I just once again, like I've been saying every episode, we just want the best for our people, our young kids, our students. Period. I don't care where they are in the aspect of athlete or not athlete. I just want the best for all of them,
Yep.
and we want them to know that. We want them to understand that options, opportunity, everybody. And not just the kids that you deal with,
Mm-hmm.
the basketball team, but next year we'll have a volleyball team, and
Yep.
we want the same thing for that program.
And
We want it to
and
go.
maybe a
and go.
bowling team.
Yeah,
Who knows?
all these things are out there, and why? Because we want those opportunities to get more, not less.
Yep.
And we also want to be able to do what we do on the basketball side, on the volleyball side, or the bowling side, or
Or
however
whatever,
you want to
whatever
do
we
it.
want.
Whatever we throw out
Yep.
there, or whatever you choose to do,
Yep.
we want to be that
I mean,
that light to say, let's go. Let's.
Yeah, I mean, there's college scholarships for fishing teams nowadays.
Yeah, I
You
know.
there's-
You talked about. I know.
There's fishing
Yeah,
scholarships
yeah.
out there. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whatever it is, we just want.
Now you'll pull up here and one day and see a bunch of bass boats out here.
Yeah. we just, I just feel like we're on the same page with the entire student body.
Yeah,
Like I said, not just the basketball program, because I know that, with me being the basketball coach and, everything we've done over the last couple of years and what the program's achieved, and we do tend to talk more about the basketball. I know this podcast gets washed into the basketball realm, but at the end of the day, any kid that comes here, whenever you come here, whether you've been here since you've been in kindergarten,
do our best.
or you just transferred in as a sophomore, freshman, senior, whatever the case may be, is when you graduate here, all we really want from you is options and opportunities. Yeah. We just want you, when you leave here, you have options and you have opportunity at the end of the day.
Yeah, we just want to make sure we just want to do the right thing, and sometimes,
First one, like we say all the time, first one through the wall is always a little bloody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so we'll end it with with this thought. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of books and those kind of things. And I was listening. I think I mentioned it loosely on last week, but when we were closing down. But I was listening to a basketball podcast, and this kind of goes hand in hand with what we were just covering with all the different levels of college. And at the end of the day, we've seen McDonald's All-Americans in high school never make it Division I, get kicked off after a year. We've seen Division III players play against LeBron and play against Steph Curry. We've seen JUCO players become all-stars in the NBA. We've seen D1 players transfer to NAIA and never play. At the end of the day, we said this last week, at the end of the day, you're responsible and you're the author of your story. Wherever you end up, whatever level you end up at, you're the author of how that story is going to end. You you have the blank sheet of paper. We'll give you the opportunity. The college will give you the opportunity, but however your career pans out, it's how you handled it and how you responded to certain things.
Yep, absolutely. And that whole conversation, amen.
Yep.
We're done.
Absolutely. So, give you a little sneak peek. Most of you will probably know what this episode is going to be next week, but Season 1, Episode 8, next week's episode, we're going to call it Commitment Part 1. So we're going to have a special guest next week. We're going to replace the head of school. You won't see him for a couple weeks, but next week we're going to have a special guest, and like I said, because of the name Commitment Part 1, you probably know where we're going with that.
Yep.
But just make sure you tune in. It's going to be a great episode. He's going
to be a better looking guy than me. So it's going to be all right. So.
A little younger, a little more athletic, a little taller. Yeah.
We're not twins.
Yeah, not twins. But until next week, thanks for joining, and we'll see you then.